All right, why don't we go live here on
Yeah,
YouTube?
Alex, you can't be wasting these. These are pop culture gems.
All right, and now, shh, I have a secret to tell you guys, so quiet down, okay?
It's creepy, but nice.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Comic Book Club. I'm Alex.
I'm Justin.
I'm Pete.
And we're coming to you live in a couple of different places on the internet. We're live on Crowdcast, live on YouTube, also coming to you later. Podcast, just audio, a couple of different places, Spotify, Stitcher, etc. Other iTunes podcasts, things like that. Who even knows?
Yeah.
It's all good. It's all good, though, bro. Wherever you're watching, wherever you're listening, we love it. We love for you coming out tonight. We love for you listening tonight. It's real cool. We got some cool vibes going on here. You know what I'm talking about?
Jazz clubs announcer vibe from Mr. Alex.
Now, our first call-in comes from a little lady in Alabama who's having a little trouble with her husband. Seems he hates reading comic books and she likes reading comic books. For Comic-Y
What is
in
going on
Alabama,
right now?
we're going to play a song for you now. It's Journey's Any Way You Want It, That's the Way You Need It.
This is Pete Line, where Pete shouts rom-com advice at you based on his viewing of recent rom-coms.
Guys,
Pete?
we have a great... Pete?
Yeah?
Pete, what's your advice?
Hey, we're doing a show now, Pete. You want to
sorry.
You know what? I'm starting to think
Too
maybe
much
you
to
need some
chat
sort of
and
count-in
stuff.
to really get into the show, to really get you revved up for it. So you know what? Next time we'll try like a little count-in.
Bring that count back.
To get you revved
count.
up for it. Because you seem to be very confused right now is what's going on. Okay, so I think it's the countdown. It's the lack of countdown that's doing
It's
it.
lack of counting.
Yes.
We're that couple that fights in restaurants. Welcome to our comic book podcast.
We have a great show for you with some great guests, but a couple of things to get out of the way first. First of all, we have been asking you all over the past couple of weeks to make recommendations of titles for us to review over in the iTunes comments under podcast, visual arts, Comic Book Club. That's a great place to find it. You can just head over there and leave us a comment.
Been a visual art. We're like sand art sitting on your grandmother's shelf.
Wherever it is, leave us a comment there. We're requesting a book. We've been having some great requests. This week on the stack, we got a request. We're going to be reviewing Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from Boom Studios. Right. But we actually have another request from the iTunes comments that I'll read right here. We'll see. I threatened Pete. I gave some hints about what this might be about, and he got really scared because secret baby. A&M Angela says, I love this podcast. It has opened me up to titles I wouldn't have even bothered with in the past. I would love it if they did a review for the Empowered Omnibus Volume 1 from Dark Horse. Not manga, not pure superhero. A fun combination of both. That was one of my favorite books back in the day. I haven't read it for years. So
we talked about that book a lot.
Yeah. So very excited to revisit that. Thank you for the suggestion, Angela. We won't be reviewing it on this week's podcast, but perhaps on next week's podcast, we'll check in and do a review then. And if you'd like to request a review, again, just leave it in the iTunes comments. We would love to check it out. Old trades, new trades, single issues, honestly, anything you want. It's fun to revisit and check out stuff that we've never checked out before. Now, second little order of business here, as frequent listeners or watchers of the podcast know, we have a curated drink each week from Brett Macris, our official CBC chef. This week, he actually made two things that I'm going to mention. The first one was he recommended a drink from the Gotham Cocktail book. This is called Birds of Prey. It's very nice. It's interesting that we have... did you put some cherries in your vodka, Pete, or are you just showing off a glass of piss?
I thought that's what we were just
that looks more like moonshine than anything.
Yes. So this is, correct me if I'm forgetting anything, it's gin, orange curacao. I used Cointreau. You're supposed to use a splash of cherry brandy. I just used some of the liquid from the cherries and some dry vermouth. And then you add 3 cherries on a stick is the technical
3 Amarone cherries, the fanciest cherries you can find.
Ooh.
Do you have those? I do not have those, unfortunately.
I do have those. They're right there in the bottom.
Ooh,
I mean, honestly, like...
Don't cherry flex all over us, guy.
I'm not an elitist in any which way.
Seems like a little bit.
But do yourself a favor and plus up to the fancy cherries, because The regular cherries that you can get, it's like eating like the top of an elf's hat, essentially. So don't do that anymore and buy a fancy cherry.
I don't know. I kind of want to taste an elf's hat now.
I don't know why I thought of that first, but that is what
it's red. I'll give you that.
The other thing that I'll mention that is, I thought, pretty great is, I don't know if you're aware of this new movie, The Batman, that's coming out starring Robert Pattinson's. Yeah, it's about a character named
George. That's a George Clooney Batman.
Yes, it's a George Clooney Batman. It's about this character named Batman. Anyway, it's coming out in March, and a tie-in is Little Caesars is doing a thing called the Batman Calzone, which is, as far as I understand it, it's basically a calzone with a pizza on top that they shaped to kind of look like a bat symbol. So, Brett...
That's just good marketing.
It's good marketing. As you know, Batman always wolfing down calzones day in and day out, so it's a nice tie-in. But Brett,
he would always be like, Alfred, throw in the zone in the oven. I'm ready.
Batman famously eating whatever Alfred gives him.
Yeah.
Anyway, Brett, in our Slack, patreon.com/comicbookclub, he made his home version of the calzone and gave some step-by-step directions how to do it, which is so great. So nice. I'm looking forward to making my own calzone instead of plugging my hard-earned $7.99 down at Little Caesars, you know?
I got to say, I mean, and the calzone that Brett made is amazing, and it's awesome. But calzone's one of those foods that I'm like, I don't need to make this at home. This is a food that's readily available in the outside world. It costs very little. And I feel like if I'm going to approximate it, it's what they're doing is perfect.
DP Dough, one of my favorite zones.
High-end cherries.
DP Dough, shout out to Ithaca's DP Dough. Good stuff.
All over the place. They got them in Pennsylvania too, bro.
Nah, I don't want to hear it. All right, why don't we move on with our first guest tonight? He is one of our good friends here at the show. We chatted with him a couple of months back at this point. We used to have him back when shows were live all the time. He is now a writer for the WWE as well as Vice. And we're very excited to welcome him back to talk about all things WWE. Whenever he gets in here, I'm not going to tell you his name. You'll have to guess what it is.
Nice. That's a fun. A lot of clues there.
Yeah.
Also, if you could read any one of our promotional tweets, the mystery solved.
But yeah, Chris Dunn should be in here in a second.
While we have a second, I can talk about. There he is.
Hey. Oh, I remember this happened the last time too.
Yeah.
Nice.
Hello.
Great. Don't talk the whole time. Oh no, I can't talk either. Let me ask you this, Chris Dunn. Do you have headphones? Because that'll put this to bed.
Here, let me.
Oh, this is going so great.
Yeah.
Good.
Justin, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, there's a lot of corporate pizza chains, and I feel like everyone has their home, their pizza home, their zone home. And mine is Little Caesars. Growing up, Little Caesars, pizza.
Wow.
Pizza. You know, all of this kind of sounds like homina.
But there he is.
Hey, Chris.
Well, we're off to a great start.
Yes, everything's going so great.
How's it going, guys?
Very well. Now that the echo is down, I'm very excited to see you again. Glad to have you here. You look very comfy.
Yeah, it's as a writer, I'm trying to live that.
Nice.
70,
yeah, you really are
70
doing
words a minute life.
70 a minute. Wow, I love this pace.
Yeah,
that is fast.
I type fast, but not well.
Nice.
When do you
Also,
think? When do you think of the words?
Oh, congratulations!
They don't have to be like any like sentence. It's just like random words.
Random words. Oh, you're a madman.
Yeah, you just want to get it on the page. Then you can get into work.
Then you edit. That's right. You just get any words. That's what they don't tell you.
Yeah.
Hemingway just wrote hundreds of words, and then later went back and cut it down to the baby shoes thing.
Precisely.
Well, wait, you're going to congratulate us on something. I want to hear about that.
Oh yeah, it's just I've been coming and watching the show for years, and now like you guys have a personal chef. You're doing ad reads for cherries, calzones. You guys have made it. It's awesome.
We're doing great.
Get all that Little Caesar money.
We're not even asking for money. We just want one Batman Calzone between the three of us. That's it.
We'll spread it 3 ways.
It looks delicious.
It
By the way,
the only way to live.
I was nervous you weren't going to be here because I didn't see you at sound check. I thought you were going to be watching like Punisher, Dirty Laundry, or something.
I was. That's why I was late. I lost track of time.
Also, not a great sound check. Just based on what happened. But Chris, you're here to talk about some WWE stuff and a gentleman by the name of R-Truth.
Yeah, it's when people think about wrestling a lot, they think like The Rock and John Cena and Roman Reigns or Bianca Belair, Hogan,
Coco Beware,
Junkyard Dog. Yeah. A bunch of people Hulk Hogan does not like. If you pay attention to Gawker. Like R-Truth is a guy who just turned 50 last week. He's wrestled in WWE in his 20s, 30s, 40s, and now his 50s.
Wow.
And I think he's probably the most underappreciated talent in wrestling. And I just wanted to kind of honor him. And, I love this podcast. So, I brought up to Justin just because, when people think about wrestling, a lot of the time they think about like people arguing over belts and are like, I want to beat you.
Cage match.
And here's the thing, like wrestling, especially now when you have like 7 hours of WWE and 4 hours of AEW, a lot of it's the same crap. It's just like the same moves over and over again. And you kind of have to be different to be stand out. And I think like R-Truth has like had a career where he's like constantly changed. Going from like a person who's like been in the ring at Madison Garden with like Cena and The Rock to probably the greatest comedian ever in wrestling. And I think like, he had a life where, or he has a life where, he's been in trouble with the law in the past in his like early days before he got into wrestling. So he was rehabilitated his life through it. And I just think like if you are any interest in wrestling and you are interested in laughing, you should go watch some of his highlights. Like he has a segment that we did a couple years ago with Brock Lesnar, where he's in the ring with this massive 6'8", 300-pound man doing like some really Looney Tunes styles comedy. And pretty much like the last few years, he's been like a living Looney Tunes character, like fighting guys in chicken suits, having matches on airplanes, having like a fight with Santa Claus, pretty much anything he's done. Finally. And like, that guy deserved it.
Especially those elves with those cherry hats.
Exactly. But yeah, and he's also like one of the best people around. So I just kind of wanted to just go on and say like, happy birthday to him. And like, if you have any interest in wrestling at all, like watch his stuff because he does the hardest stuff to do in wrestling.
Wow, well, I mean, it is hard. It is hard to adapt to the times, like you're saying, to have a career that long and change it up and still be doing full Looney Tunes stuff is really hard. Are there any particular places you can send us to watch something specific, or is there a specific match to look up that you're like, that's the one for the intro?
Yeah, I think like the big one is the Brock Lesnar R-Truth segment, which WWE posted on YouTube. You can easily find that. And then WWE has a couple playlists of the 24/7 title, which is the comedy title, that R-Truth essentially like everyone thought that title was going to be a failure. It was kind of a ripoff of a title that the WWE did in the 90s called the Hardcore title. But one writer on the writing team while I was there, this guy, Dewey Foley, who's Mick Foley's son, pitched to kind of bring R-Truth from SmackDown to Raw the night they debuted it. And it kind of took the 24/7 title and like, instead of just being like a segment that could easily be lame every week, really the highlight of the show a lot of times. And like on YouTube and various social media platforms, a lot of Truth's 24/7 stuff have combined to have over 100 million views.
No. And awesome. He's still wrestling today, you're saying?
Yeah, he's on every week. He looks much younger than 50. And he always gets the best out of every segment. And his character is kind of very full of life and plays everything incredibly straight and earnest, which leads to, if you're a comedy fan, some of the best jokes, whether you're a wrestling fan or not.
So I have an alarm set anytime there's a potential new Pete story developing in our comments. And we have one here from Liwana Nana. Pete, remember when you got invited? It is a story. When you got invited to play Santa Claus in WWE, but you couldn't.
Yeah, it was a possibility of an audition for something. And unfortunately,
I believe Chris Dunn was the one who tried to make that happen.
Right.
Is that right?
Yeah, I was looking for somebody.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was us. Yeah.
This is a great... Luana brought that up, and here's the connection.
You would have been a 24/7 champion.
Yeah, I know. It was really upsetting that I couldn't do it. I was pretty sad for a while. Thanks for bringing that up, Luana.
Well, the negative is it was the coldest night of the year in New York.
That's right. It was...
you would have frozen. Chris saved you. Pete, now, you would have died.
4 million people would have seen you on TV. So,
but then you'd be locked into the role of Santa Claus.
Yeah.
If you could,
Hulk Hogan would be a WWE champion.
Pete, honest question though. You've seen the movie Caddyshack, right?
Numerous times.
Great. You know the thing where the guy is having the best golf game of his life, right? And then he gets struck by lightning and dies. Yeah. So let's say similar situation for you. You get a do-over and you get to be Santa Claus on the WWE. You're fighting your way up. You're going to be the champion. You're having the best night of your life, but also by the end, you know you're going to freeze to death. Do you do it?
Yeah. I mean, you got to go out on top. You got to go out on top.
Wow.
Plus, bring awareness to frostbite. I think it's a win-win.
That's
he's going to Mephisto that into happening.
Yeah.
We would have had a lot of fun that night. There was a slow speed horse carriage chase in Central Park, where you would have been leading that chase.
Wait, so sorry to belabor this, but what happened? Did the whole thing get canceled? Or
no, we did it.
Okay.
I just couldn't do it.
Okay.
Pete had to be a real Santa Claus that night.
Yeah.
It's a segment. It was probably the most that title has ever been on Raw, because it was a double taping in Iowa, I think the week before, where we did the pre-Christmas episode, and somebody mistimed the show. So I was sent into the field for the 24/7 title to have the show reach 3 hours for USA.
They mistimed it too short.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
So how much time did you have to add?
I think 10 minutes.
Oh my god.
And here's the thing. I don't know if I know you guys have done television. For those of you that haven't, once it's recorded in the location and you leave, it's been recorded.
That's it. You don't get to go back and do it more.
Yeah. So we had to write an insane storyline where Santa Claus became champion and stole the title, and all these things that happened. What really frustrates me is that it's not online, and WWE puts all of their stuff online. I think whoever was doing it that week was off for Christmas. And it's one of my favorite moments. It's a lot of it's based on a Sesame Street special I saw growing up, where Bert and Ernie got each other's gifts, but then sold things to buy each other's gifts.
Gift of the Magi.
Yeah. I was going to say that's actually based on something else.
No, I think Bert and Ernie did it first.
Yeah, they did.
Gift of the Ernie.
Yes. My favorite Muppet is O. Henry.
Yeah. Not to say I'm the guy wearing the cardigan.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Dropping O. Henry references, cardigan. Well, and the guy that ended up playing Santa Claus was John Cena, and that's how he ended up becoming famous, right?
And now he's Peacemaker.
Yes.
I did. Yeah,
it could be Pete Maker. It could be Pete Maker.
Oh man.
I want to say real quick, you telling these stories about writing and producing for the WWE, the stuff that you have done and the amount of work you have to put in is unbelievable. The way that you have to shoot all this stuff on like a shoestring budget and do it all very quickly, very difficult. So I'm always impressed when you tell your stories about having to pull together a carriage race that would cost like $100,000 on a non WWE show.
It's wild. Well, thank you for that. Cena, back when I worked there, not my last WrestleMania, but the WrestleMania before that, because of the pandemic, we were doing all these cinematic matches. And I actually produced one that was kind of like homage to like a B movie version of the Avengers called the Viking Prophets. Where these like two teams combine, the Viking Raiders and the Street Profits. But Cena did this like really metal one called the Firefly Funhouse with like Bray Wyatt, who's no longer with the company. And somebody asked him how long it would take to produce like this like 20-minute movie in Hollywood, and his response was like 4 weeks. And they had like they did it all in 12 hours. Wow. So sometimes it's not the best quality of work, but man, you get it done.
Well, what do you think of Cena's transition into being like the comedic actor, doing Peacemaker, doing all of these things? I mean, certainly a lot of wrestlers do that transition, but he's very present right now, particularly because Peacemaker is on HBO Max.
Yeah. So you guys have all seen it, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Yeah. I like it a lot. And I think like Cena, I find like the most interesting former wrestler on screen, because he really knows who he is, and he's unafraid to get like really weird. Like I think when you read like about like Hollywood, so hard. Yeah. And you know, like I think when you read about like action stars, like they talk about like who could in their contracts who could win and lose fights. Like Cena like leaves that all out the door. Like he wants to create the best thing, and that's how he was at WWE. Like I only overlapped with the end of his full-time run like shortly. And like I did like maybe like 3 or 4 segments with him, and like he is one of the most professional, well thought out people you'll ever see. And Peacemaker's awesome, and he just gets it.
Yeah. I mean, he is in that show. He is like a living action figure, both in that he's jacked. He does anything that is demanded of him, and he's a little stiff. Like he looks like an action figure that only moves a little bit.
My girlfriend Mika brings that up all the time. Like it's so interesting to like watch him like move.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I get caught on like where he like yells out freedom during sex, but
well, you do that too, right?
Yeah, well,
he got that from you.
Not as loudly. As
you whisper it.
Freedom.
He got that one, and actually, Bert did it first, and then Chris
then Ernie. Ernie did.
Then Ernie. Oh, that's too far for you, Alex. You found
a little bit.
Right
we're getting close. We're certain skirting the edge there, like Bert.
You guys don't want to lose that Little Caesars money.
Yeah. Yeah. No. They wanted us to talk about Bert and Ernie coming out.
Okay.
They sent us some.
That's the crazy
sauce. You didn't have to say it like that.
The little Caesar, you know who was fucked up? Caesars, especially the little one. Like he's like Caligula. It's a little known fact.
Mm-hmm. So
little Caligula.
So this is a ridiculous way of asking this question, but I'm completely unaware of the world. What is going on with WWE right now? Because I know the last time we talked, what's the WWE? No, the last time we talked, the last time you had you on, obviously it was like not beginning pandemic, but mid-pandemic, and you guys were still kind of figuring out the crowds versus no crowds thing and everything. So what's happening now? Where is the WWE, and what challenges have you either overcome or what are presenting themselves right now?
Well, So we talked right after I left, right after Mania in, I think, May. Since then, crowds came back in July. And I think like the big thing right now is Brock Lesnar came back at SummerSlam and kind of reinvented his character in an interesting way. Like it became very hard before I left WWE on the creative team to kind of book Brock. He was kind of the same thing every week. But now if you like Google Brock Lesnar, there's like he's become like Brock Lesnar Walker Texas Ranger. Like he's wearing like a cowboy hat. He's being funny. And he's in the storyline. He's facing Bobby Lashley at Royal Rumble, but he's also kind of in a storyline with Roman Reigns, who's on SmackDown. So that's kind of like the big thing. The Rumbles are coming up, which is kind of like the kickoff of WrestleMania season. You kind of find out who's some of the main eventers when they win the Royal Rumble. And this week in the news, there's like talk that Ronda, like, and I haven't heard this from anyone there. Like I've only seen this in the news. Allegedly, they've started talking to Ronda Rousey about coming back again. Wow. Personally, if I was still there, I would not want her back. She's an amazing talent and like more athletic than anyone on the roster. But the issue with somebody like Ronda Rousey is you have to feed them wrestlers.
Oh my God!
Yeah, literally.
Huge reveal.
Oh my God! I can't believe you admitted that.
You have to cook them into a calzone. And
calzone.
Feed them like that. But
I think it's calzone.
No, it's called a Batman Calzone.
Yeah.
It's true.
It does look like an awesome meal. I would totally get it. She essentially has to beat everyone because she has to be unbeatable. And WWE's biggest issue is the lack of creating stars. Outside of like Bianca Belair, I don't know if they've really created a new star in the last couple of years. It was Braun Strowman before that, but he's no longer with the company. Like WWE has like released close to 90 wrestlers over last year, and like he was one of them.
I always find that it's an interesting parallel with comic books, in that it's like you have a roster of characters or heroes in the comic book world, and it's hard to create new ones because it's always easier to just go back to the ones you have and like, well, the stars are the stars. Let's keep doing the stars. And that's something we talk about on the show a lot with comic book characters. Like we are seeing a new Spider-Man, but it's still Spider-Man. Like maybe it's time to really invest in bringing up new talent.
Yeah, you kind of see that too. Like I saw last week that they're going to have like 2 different Captain Americas with Steve Rogers and Sam at once. Like it feels like you're just kind of diluting the spotlight that way.
I don't know. Yeah. I think I disagree. I think something like that is okay because particularly with Marvel, they've established this precedent already with having multiple Spider-Men. I much prefer just kind of calling Miles Morales Spider-Man rather than being like, yeah, there's Spider-Man and then there's this other guy over here, or he's called something different. It's fine, and I think audiences can make that differentiation, and it feeds different needs in different audiences. So I understand what you're saying. In world, like when you think about it in continuity, it probably gets a little tough to sort of wrap around, but in terms of separate titles, I don't know. I feel like it's okay. Personally.
Yeah.
I just think, though, it's confusing to, like, why would a new viewer or a new fan be like, oh, I see 2 Captain Americas and I know one of them. So how am I going to get on board with this new one when I keep seeing this older one?
But they're giving both of them, right? Like, people, if you talk about MCU fans, if we're going to talk about those, they're obviously not casual because we're over 10 years in here. And we're getting very far afield from talking to Chris about this, but just to keep going with it for a second.
No, I love this stuff.
So Chris Evans, people know him as Captain America, but also they've watched Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which became Captain America and the Winter Soldier, and they now know, okay, Anthony Mackie is Captain America. But then you go see the movies, they're still talking about
Chris
Steve
Evans
Rogers.
is old now, so it's
Chris Evans is old.
Yeah.
But my point being, they can keep it straight. I think they can also keep it straight in the comics.
But I'm just saying, when you're running a race and you have the baton and you pass the baton, you don't keep running with the person you pass the baton to. The baton needs to go.
That's not how I played track in high school, man.
Yeah. You were just...
Wouldn't it be...
I hung on to that. That dragged me right down that track.
And to Justin's point, that's like a big thing with wrestling. Like, a couple weeks ago, after like a very long time, this guy, Big E, became WWE champion. Mm-hmm. And they took the title off of him within 2 months. And it kind of made him feel lesser. And like they did this because like there's a feeling, though I don't always agree with it, like at this pay-per-view, Roman Reigns couldn't make it. And a lot of time they switched the match to put Brock Lesnar in it and gave him the title. And a lot of times, like in wrestling, the feeling is like, if you can't give them what you've advertised, you have to give them something bigger. But it's also like a short-term game hurting something long-term, because Big E could have been a much bigger star. And same thing, I think, with the comic books of like, anytime you see a new version of a hero, the old one's coming back at some point.
Well, it was the same thing. I haven't seen a lot of wrestling, but I remember when The Rock left and he passed his mantle down to Young Rock, and then Young Rock became The Rock. You're like, The Rock's going to come back at some point. Yeah. Young Rock isn't going to keep it the entire time,
Little pebble.
He didn't. What else are you working on? You're working at Vice as well, right, Chris?
Yeah.
What are you doing over there?
Just wrapped up a show for them, and then I'm currently developing a half-hour pilot to hopefully take it in a couple months. Justin's been fantastic with notes for that, so thank you, in public.
Wow, public, thank you. I'm just a guy in the basement. I don't know if my notes I'm like
Needs more basement. Needs more basement.
One other thing we were talking about before we had John Chris is I think the last thing I certainly did before the pandemic started was you got us tickets to SmackDown, was at Barclays Center, and there's a picture of Pete, Alex, and I cheersing a beer in Barclays on like Wednesday, March 12th, like truly the day before everything shut down.
Oh, man.
So shout out for risking our lives.
Yeah. I thought it was just going to be a little cold, but I thought it was a storyline like in wrestling.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And it was.
Yeah, it became it.
Yeah.
Chris,
so
on that note, Chris, thank you so much for coming on. It was great seeing you as usual.
Great seeing you.
I've always loved your guys' show. All three of you are the best, and talk soon.
Much love, man.
Oh, yeah, and happy birthday to R-Truth. Let's not forget that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's such a cool career and legacy.
All right. Yeah. Thanks, Chris. Good seeing you.
Chris, do it. What a brave guy. He doesn't have a beard or anything, man. Just out there with his chin. Just fucking being so brave.
Now, I will just mention it here just in case he is somehow on and I'm not seeing it. But we did have a second guest today, Rhys Prosser, that was supposed to be here. Seems like he is not. In case he pops in or I don't see him, let us know in the comments here on Crowdcast. We'll try to figure out a way to bring you in. But in the meantime, we're going to move to our next section, which is our favorite section because you all make it up. It's your audience questions. And for audience questions, you already got this, but just drop a question. Wait, Rhys is here. Hold on. Oh, I can't welcome
Sometimes
him.
You just got to put it out there, and then
exactly, you got to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
Rhys, this is going to be great for the audio podcast, but I can't figure out a way to bring you into the stream because you don't seem to be online that way.
Maybe have him leave and then come back out.
Yeah, Rhys, why don't you leave and come back in?
Can't you kick him out and then?
No, I can't totally kick him off of the program or anything like that. But yeah, Rhys, if you want to log off,
Alex,
and come back in,
you're the bouncer. Kick him out of here.
Kick him out of here, and then
get him out of here.
Wait, hold on.
86th. I love it, Stray Bullies.
Hold on there. I think this is going to work. I think we're going to be able to bring Rhys in. It's working. He's kind of on screen. Rhys, hello.
Woo! I was sitting here the whole time thinking like, So yeah, sorry about that, guys.
No problem. Not to get too in the weeds about it, but it just did not show me you were online at all until whenever you switched. So there you go.
Yeah, I was just sitting here patiently, like, hopefully it'll come in.
And it did.
Interview, just like really chopping it up with them.
All good. Rhys, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for talking about this book. So the name of your book is NJXP. It's super fun. We got to read a copy of it. The idea, correct me if I'm wrong, basically it's kind of like a courier service that's made up of ninjas, turns into sort of this sci-fi fantasy warriors type thing as she tries to bring a package across town. Super fun. What did I miss there? What did I miss in the pitch?
Yeah, you pretty much nailed it. Yeah, it is just like a one big old chase scene across the city.
It's glorious.
It was kind of one of those things where I just thought I'd throw it all in the bag, monsters and magic and just like just aliens, just awesome stuff I wanted to draw basically and like put out there. That was really.
I gotta say, as someone who reads a lot of comics, I love the action emphasis, the action words, the way you use words in the paneling to help like heighten what's happening. It was really just fantastic. Draws you in so well.
Great page right there.
Hell yeah.
It was just it's so much fun to read these action sequences and to see it and the way it's like imagined on the page. Really just so enjoyable. Thank you.
Thank you. That is so cool. Thank you.
Like hearing you talk, like you said, like you just wanted to put as much fun stuff that you wanted to see on the page. I feel like that's exactly how it reads. It feels like there's just so much energy. You seem like you have a wellspring of energy in you as a human.
Thank you very much.
Bringing to the table, and it translates in the book. It is great. It reminded me of the way that, like, that for when you first read Scott Pilgrim, and it has that the propulsive energy to the fight sequences. Like I feel that here.
Scott Pilgrim was such an enormous influence for me. That whole series was just like, it's still like a massive place in my heart. And like, I actually found out that the first Scott Pilgrim book is 160 pages, the same amount of pages I got. So that's a nice little sign there. I was just like, that's just for me. I was just like, yes.
Well, that's a fun fact.
So I was reading some of the stuff you put out about the book, or at least what you were saying about the book. And this is something that has been a labor of love, something that you've wanted to do for a really long time. So what was the thing that ultimately pushed you over? If you have been thinking about this for a really long time, what was the moment where you're like, you know what, I'm going to take the plunge and actually do it?
Yeah, well, it was. This was a few years ago. Like I used to work in publishing, and I wasn't really enjoying that. I kind of found it was a bit of a grind, and I had a moment where a couple of people I knew passed away, and it was just like, you know what, if ever there's, life will just disappear on you. And if you don't pull it together and actually do something, then, you're going to miss out. So I just thought, take this thing I want to do, comics, and let's just work everything else around that. And just, I spent a year just, working on my art and just making practice comics. And even NJXP was supposed to be just a 16-page, test. I was just like, let's do like a little extended action sequence with all this cool stuff. But then the more I was just developing it, it just blew out into this thing. And I was like, okay, this is going to be the first book. Let's go.
Man, that's great. When you started, so cool. Did you start with the art then? Or did you start with the writing? Or were you kind of doing both at the same time?
No, so I went, because the thing is, growing up with comics, you just know about the whole assembly line thing. So that's literally what I thought, okay, let's do it that way. I wrote the script first, and, I sort of took a vague guess on the paneling and stuff, and then that's one of my favorites too. Like that came out so well.
Yeah, it really did.
Look at it. Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah,
such an amazing kick in the face. I mean, you see a lot of them, but just to really, so great.
Man, yeah, like, yeah, because sorry. So yeah, I started with the writing, and then like I got into the drawing and did the whole thing. So like, I have a day job. I was taking pages in with me, and I was penciling and inking, with markers. On my lunch break.
Subtly? Wow, how do you not get busted doing artwork?
No, sorry. Like, anytime I had a break, like I turn up a bit early, get a coffee, and no, because I do factory work, so I couldn't be like, I couldn't do it at my desk.
Very hard.
So. That would have been, if I'd have pulled that off, that'd have been pretty good. But
problem with that is the conveyor belt keeps moving the pages as you're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Just line up the pages on the belt. Draw very quickly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Get a whole thing done.
It's when they jam. That's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, sorry, boss, I gotta fish this out.
So what did you? What was the next step then after you actually got this together? After you started producing this, that you decided, okay, I'm going to put this out there. I'm going to actually put this online. I'm going to sell this as a comic.
That was always the plan. I've done this through Amazon's self-publishing platform, and I tried a book previously. I did like a little adult coloring book thing just to test it out, see what it was like, and I was pretty happy with the results. And I thought, okay, let's push forward and see what the graphic novel comes out like.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. You did a little trial balloon, and then we're like, all right.
Yeah.
How about this?
Yeah, and like getting that proof back. I mean, I've got a copy of the print version right here.
Ooh, nice.
Look at that.
Look at that.
That's gotta feel good.
Do you know what? Yeah, getting that and flicking through it was so cool. And because it's like a little wider than a regular comic. It's about like an extra quarter wider. So it's just got a nice feeling, especially because I didn't even realize you work on these pages. You don't realize kind of the thickness of it until you get it in your hands, and it's just it's so cool.
So what's the response been like now that it is up?
It's been okay. It's been steady going. I'm out there trying to plug it because I'm totally like I'm flying by my seat of the pants making this book, and I'm doing the same thing with the marketing. So I'm just playing around, seeing what works. But like, fair play, people have been really, really positive about it, and it's been really cool to hear that.
Yeah. Now that you have done the book, though, are you hooked? Are you going to create another book? Where are you at?
100%. Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I haven't quite, because obviously I've been like, I just put the book out in November, and trying to get it out to people, and so now I'm like, I've got to start creating again. I've really got the itch now. It's like I've got to start putting pen to paper. So I've got some ideas, and like, not enough to like really talk about now, but like, I'm ready to go. This is this is it for me.
That's amazing.
That's
I love that so much. That's such a great story. And so this is available on Amazon.
It is,
right now, right?
It is. Yep.
Are you talking to any comic book shops or anything like that in terms of trying to get them in there, or what's?
I'm not, because unfortunately, going through Amazon, you do kind of alienate yourself, from bookshops, which is unfortunate, because I would love to be out there talking to them. I just kind of, I just thought, okay, first book, let's try it through this platform, see how it goes. Definitely from the next book, I think I'm gonna find a publisher, because this is print on demand, and it's like if I find a printer that does that with distribution, it's just tweaking the model each time.
Could you actually talk a little bit more about that? Because I don't know how that works. So you go with Amazon, so that's where it sort of is. And then through that, you print on demand if someone orders it, or do you have to do a run, or does it work?
No, so literally so you just upload the files, and then every time someone orders one, it gets printed, sent right out to them, and like, so they so like, it's like $7.50 for a book, and like I'll get like $2-3 back for each one, basically. So obviously they're taking the lion's share because they're doing the printing and distribution.
They're doing all the work.
Yeah, exactly.
And I just want to mention, we have a comment over here on YouTube from Hugo Sanchez says, your marketing is working. Your marketing is working because I'm definitely buying this. So
hell yeah!
Nice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're gonna like it, man.
There's
Love
like
it.
vaunted comic book club bump right there. You got it.
Thank you so much. No, because like being on a podcast is so wicked. Like it's just like you daydream about this, and they're like, oh shit, my debut graphic novel, brilliant.
That's
Nice,
great.
man.
It's so good. It's so much fun. I love your energy. I love your enthusiasm. I love your
thank
story
you.
behind this as well. And
actually, I have one more question before if you're buttoning it up, Alex. In some of the,
I'm just getting started, baby.
Are you getting wound up? Great. You talked about how working on this really sort of sustained you through a lot of the pandemic. Can you talk about that? Like, were you just like looking forward to this all the time? Like, how did it work for you?
Yeah, so it was a strange one because like I started writing it in like the summer of 2019, and then started drawing it, and then the pandemic kicked off, and I don't know if you guys had the furlough, like, so a lot of non-essential workers. So if a company was like, okay, if you're gonna have tough times, the government were paying like 80% of people's salaries to just send them home so they're not around, spreading COVID. So like at the start of April 2020, I got sent home for a month and a half, and like I was like, great, I can spend the whole time, drawing this book, brilliant. And like I literally got home and I pretty much crawled into bed for a week and a half, going, I could lose my job, my entire family could die, like because you just But I had, but I had this page that would like stare at me, and like it was like, okay, come on, you got to get up and do this now. So yeah, it was a good distraction from like everything that was going on, because like I got like evicted. Everyone in my building got evicted in the middle of the pandemic.
Man.
Yeah, which sucked. But like again, that there was like, cool, I'll just find a new place to work on my book. And and unfortunately, like, I lost my grandmother to COVID, but it was just, I mean, and like my other grandmother passed away the week the book came out. So it's been a bit tough, but again, it's just like having some, because I mean, making art and creating has always been a cornerstone of my mental health. So literally having this to like put the blinkers up and just be like, cool, everything seems to be going nuts. I'm just going to concentrate on this now.
Man, I love that.
That's
I'm
glad
so
you
sorry
had
to
hear
do,
about
man.
all of that.
But
it really, your book is great, and like the energy that you reserved through all of those trials and brought to this book, it's truly palpable. It's like lightning on the page. So you should be very proud of getting through all of that and also creating, because that's not
rest in peace to the grandmas, dude.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah. No, I appreciate that.
Rhys, thank you so much for coming on. Lovely chatting with you. As I mentioned before, very much looking forward to the next book now.
I can't wait, man.
On whatever it is.
Thank you very much. Well, yeah, thank you. This has been wicked. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. So if anyone, Amazon and RhysProsser.com if they want to check out more. Thank you very much.
Awesome.
Yeah. Definitely
Have a great night.
Cool.
All right, there we go. Rhys Prosser, and the book, again, is called NJXP, and as we mentioned, it's so cool. And also, as mentioned earlier, we're going to move on to your audience questions. Drop a question and ask a question here on Crowdcast or in the comments over on YouTube. We got a couple here on Crowdcast already. This one is from Stray Bullet. If you had to wrestle a member of the Justice League for the fate of the world, who would you want to wrestle? Also, what would your final meal be?
Wow.
I feel like Stray Bullet is not betting on me when I'm wrestling Batman. He's just a guy. He doesn't have any powers. I could probably take him, right?
No way, dude. He's trained.
I don't know. Batman, but though powerless, difficult. I mean,
here's the thing. He just needs to eat one of those delicious calzones, and he's going to be so tired. I could take him in a second.
Yeah, but Batman's not going to eat his own calzone. He's going to eat like an unrelated calzone.
That's right.
Like a different calzone.
Prepares for him,
Yeah.
The Alfred calzone.
Yeah, the Alfred Zoni.
It's mostly bouillabaisse in a pocket.
Gross. Wow. Stay off the marketing team for Little Caesars, kid. I would challenge Aquaman, because that guy's not good on dry land. And that's where I would I would make sure he was dehydrated.
Pete?
I'm just still thinking about last meal, like all the Like, what would you want to, like, do you go garbage plate on your last meal, or do you do like something bougie, like a steak and lobster situation? You know what I mean?
Let me throw this out, Pete. No matter how you die, I bet garbage plate will be your last meal.
Oh man!
So you don't have to worry about it.
Fingers crossed, bro.
Ooh, Kevin does bring up a question here. He says, "Why is the correct answer Booster Gold? Are we including Justice League International, or just like the iconic 7 Justice League?"
Yeah, I think the door's open for all Justice. I mean, if you get into the Justice League International, they're all beatable.
Yeah. Okay.
Or like the Wonder Twins. I feel like you could take one of them.
Wonder Twins. Yeah. I would just wait till they turned into a bucket of water, and I'd throw them out the window.
And I'd wait until they turned into a bucket of water and then drink them.
Oh,
you don't have to drink the whole thing. You just drink a little bit, and they come back with like no arms or something.
Oh man,
I don't know if that's how it works. Also, you don't want them popping out of your kidney.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, there we go. Great question. This is from Nat
Wonder
Townsend.
Twin stone.
No, this seems related also to the same thing we've been talking about. There's nothing inherently Bat-related about a calzone, right? What is the worst, flimsiest superhero cross-promotion you've ever seen? We've talked about this here on the show.
Are you
before.
I mean, Alex has literally seen them all, so.
No, well, yeah.
Are you gonna...
Wait, what do you think I'm going to bring up, Pete?
I think you're going to bring
Superman shaving thing.
Oh no,
this is
cereal.
Oh, were we talking about food related or? No, just superhero cross promotion. The worst superhero cross promotion. I was thinking about this after today. After we were talking about the Batman Calzone, is for it wasn't Man of Steel. It was for Justice League.
I thought it was Man of Steel.
Oh, it was Man of Steel. They had a promotion with Gillette.
Yeah.
Where it was like, the only thing we don't know is how does he shave?
Yeah.
And every comic book fan was like, we know how he shaves. He uses his heat vision and he bounces it off of his mirror. It's been in comics multiple times. What are you talking about? This is a terrible ad campaign. Come on.
Come on, we all said. Come on. That has a real, like, the Don Draper of that office was like, how does he shave?
Let's not ask any comic book fans.
Yeah.
So that one's pretty terrible. Any other bad?
Those Snickers DC commercials would drove us pretty insane.
I mean, the comments are actually crushing in here. Batman for OnStar. I remember that. That was also for one of the Zack Snyders, I believe.
I don't remember.
And then the Zack Snyder Justice League meal that came with the Snyder Cut was especially
the Mother Box one.
Yeah, you guys were going to order it. Remember?
I was going to order it, but then it came out a month after the movie. Which, like, why? Why did it take them a month to put these Mother Box meals together? So strange.
Like all Zack Snyder properties, you have to wait way too long to get to the end.
That was pretty bad. This is not a comic book based one, but I don't know if you guys remember for Phantom Menace, there was that lollipop thing with Jar Jar with his tongue sticking out, which is like lewd to look at. It's pretty gross.
I don't even like hearing about it.
It's pretty terrible.
I mean, the thing is, the biggest movies always have the worst tie-ins because the products that are like, yeah, let's try to get a piece of this are insane.
Right.
It goes so deep. Like right now, I think still airing are the Spider-Man No Way Home, I want to say Toyota commercials where it feels like an extended scene, but it's like the movie. We all saw the movie a while ago. Like it's very weird that you're doing this now.
They did that with Audi for a bunch of stuff. There was
maybe it's Audi.
Wasn't there the one where they did it with all of the TV stars and it was like Loki stealing an Audi after the end of Avengers Endgame or something? Very strange. This is not a product tie-in, and I'm sure I've talked about this before, but the way that I first saw the first Avengers is I needed to cover it for work and I couldn't get into like the main screening, but there was a screening for Audi was holding it. So it was all like the car execs and they were having their screening and their after party. And I distinctly remember it because I was watching it and like, I was reacting to parts of the movie, not necessarily out loud, but I was like, oh, this is great. I can't believe I'm getting to see the Avengers. Literally the only thing that got applause the entire time we were watching Avengers is when the Audi pulled out.
Yeah.
I mean,
They
when
lost
you're in the
it.
corporate screening, you gotta.
Oh my God, it was crazy.
Just imagine how the Doritos execs watch anything.
This is from Kevin. Oh wow, this is very deep. What's something you've wanted to do for years but haven't yet?
Whoa, Kev, come on, dude. What are you doing to us?
Okay.
Wow.
What did you do for
Great
years?
question.
Right for us to now?
Figure out what love feels like, I guess.
Oh, I see.
Find my place in the world.
What about you?
No.
I don't know. I feel like I've achieved everything.
Nice. That tracks. Definitely. That's tough. I mean, I haven't been to a comic book store in a couple of years, so that's a big
man. You got to go back.
Travel.
So great.
Travel internationally.
I would love to, if there was ever a chance for me to be Santa for the WWE, that would be like number one.
You're an asshole, man.
There it is.
I would like to go back in time and stop Zalvin from happening.
Jesus Christ.
Wow. Getting intense in here.
We got a couple of questions here that I'm sorry we're piling up over on YouTube, but Stanley says, any new CBC shows coming soon? Maybe Peacemaker or Boba Fett? Well, we have been talking about Boba Fett.
I would love to do either one of them, but these two a-holes hate the Book of Fett, and it's just driving me insane.
I don't hate it.
I don't hate it, but much like Boba Fett falling into the Sarlacc pit in Jedi, I wish it was a little better.
Oh, come on, man. Assassin Wookiee is fucking ridiculous. It's great.
I guess I liked him in the comic books where he came from. And it's weird to me that they're not referring to that at all. And even though Boba Fett and Black
I don't want that. Don't shut up. Fucking asshole.
You know what? This is a really good. This is convincing me we should do a podcast about this.
Yeah.
Def. I mean, if Peacemakers are already in a little deep for us to dive in, I would do a Peacemaker podcast if we.
They have this ad that plays that has an official Peacemaker podcast. You know,
they do have an official Peacemaker podcast. This is a follow-up here, actually. TC Brian 05 says, similar to Doom Patrol, what is the name of the CBC Peacemaker podcast that you guys are definitely recording on a weekly basis, but Pete refuses
I'm so sorry.
Wow.
What's Doom Patrol?
I'm not familiar with it. I've never heard of it. But I guess imagining that there was some sort of CBC Peacemaker podcast. What is it called? Peace Taker, a separate piece. What's the name of our
Peace Pod?
Podmaker?
Podmaker.
Podcasts at any cost.
Nice.
Eagly.
Eagly Fancast.
Yeah. Worth it for Eagly alone.
Yeah, it is worth it for Eagly alone. Do you really want to taste it? A Peacemaker podcast. How about that?
Yeah. Do you really want to cast it?
That's pretty good. We'll workshop this.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes. Like as asked in the question, we are recording it. Pete won't let us release it. So
I'm so sorry. Pete won't let us release it.
To you.
We did just release a special episode of Riverdale After Dark, where we interviewed one of the writers, which is great. And I do think we should have some Marvel vision. We should do some Marvel stuff.
We should. There's Moon Knight is coming out at the end of the March, but we should try to do some more stuff for that. And then there's also going to be The Boys is not coming back until June, but there is going to be the animated show Diabolical.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to check that out.
That's coming out in March, I believe. So we'll probably cover that.
We'll definitely have a busy March, but we'll fill the gap with something.
Yeah,
between in February.
Exactly. This is from Josh.
I have personally been enjoying the downtime, just having some time to myself.
What have you been doing? What have you been doing?
Been catching up with some reading.
I just
the outside world is.
I picture you, Pete, just like Jack Nicholson at the end of The Shining, sitting in the cold, just staring there, not
freezing.
doing anything. Yes.
Honestly, when we leave from podcasting, I feel like Pete just bows his head down and shuts off.
Just shut off.
Just like, ooh.
Yeah. This is from Josh. Not counting any interview you've actually conducted, who in any part of the comics industry would be at the top of the list as far as folks you'd like to interview?
People we haven't interviewed?
Yeah. Alan Moore.
Yeah. I mean, we haven't talked to Grant Morrison in a while. That would be cool to catch up with him. I feel like he's in a different phase in his comic book writing.
I would love to talk to Garth Ennis about Peacemaker. That's for sure.
You interviewed Garth Ennis, right, Pete?
Yeah. Yeah, it was an intense, amazing interview.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had to
What
prove
happened?
I knew his work, you know, like he wasn't going to just open up to anybody. Like he was, you know, and, you know, hey, you know, live your life, you know what I mean? But, you know, I had to prove that I was familiar with his stuff.
Now, you interviewed Kyle Baker once too, Pete. How did that come about? What did you have to prove when you interviewed him?
That I was ready to hang with Kyle Baker. That's what I had to prove.
Nice.
Man, I don't know. We've interviewed so many people. This is not even a Hubble brag. It's like other than Alan Moore, I'm not sure.
We haven't had Mark
Millar. We haven't had Mark Millar on the podcast. That might be fun and interesting. David Mazzucchelli, that's a good suggestion.
I would love to talk to some of the writers on the Marvel TV stuff. Would be awesome.
Yeah. Well, why don't we move to this other question here? This is from Nelson Martinez. The Rock teased starring in another video game movie, but he didn't say the game it's based on. Which video game would you like him to be the star of in a movie?
I mean, he killed it at Rampage. I mean, that was just fantastic.
That's great. Doom was great. I think he's never done a bad comic book movie.
Yeah, video game movie. He's never.
Jumanji.
I mean, what video game movies are coming? Like, what's the like? It's not going to be a retro thing. Like, he's not going to be playing Dr. Mario.
That would be great. Now I want him to play Dr. Mario.
Just take me on Dr. Mario.
He can finally do that Tetris movie they've talked about for a while.
Yeah, exactly.
He can play a block effectively. He'd be the 4 block, just like the square.
Rock block.
The Rock.
The rock block.
The Rock block.
I don't know. They've done everything, right? All the video games have been adapted.
Well,
Boy and His Blob.
Wow.
Paper Route.
What if he could do
back.
Contra? I guess I don't know if there's exactly
Paper
a story there. Contra.
Oh, I mean, that would be dope. Of course, there's a story. Headbands, oiled up bodies. That's it. Very
up, down,
for some
down,
reason, very
BA,
tight
BA,
jeans.
select, start.
That's right.
Oh,
What about left, right? Alex.
sorry. I guess that would be the slogan for the movie, right? The poster would be Contra, and then the tagline would be left, right, up,
The
down,
Konami
up,
code.
down,
Oh,
BA.
you're killing it. It's up, down, down.
I don't know.
Up,
man.
down, left, right, BA.
I don't play
Get
that
outta here.
nerd shit.
Select
so I
start,
don't know.
dude.
Select start
got
if you
two
want to do
players.
2 players.
That's right.
Okay.
You go
Well,
roll
I didn't
into
always have a
Contra
friend.
solos.
I didn't always have a
wow.
friend. I didn't always have a friend.
You're not
Okay,
gonna make
Mr.
it.
Popular, you got select start all in your whole life.
We got a question here on YouTube from Thanasis LeBrew. What are your favorite non-superhero comic books?
Ooh.
I'll throw out
Great
one that I think Pete's going to answer. I don't think this counts as a superhero, but Concrete is pretty great.
Yeah, Concrete's great. Scalped.
Scalped.
Why
very
last
good.
man?
Pete looking at the wall.
That's right.
Give it that respect.
He has all the answers written up there.
That's right. That's where I keep all my
The
answers.
cheat sheet. I mean, some of our favorites that we're sort of been reading lately are Ice Cream Man. A lot of Rick Remender stuff. I feel like is non
Anything Image puts out, basically.
Yeah,
all
pretty
of the
much.
Image books.
Yeah, definitely.
The Many Deaths of Layla Starr, which is our #1 pick from last year, I believe.
Stray Dogs.
Stray Dogs. That's right. Not a superhero comic.
Not a superhero
And not
comic.
Pete's favorite comic.
Nope.
Quick comment, Ben the Border Collie, about our Alan Moore interview conversation. You mean the 4th host of the Watchmen podcast?
That's right.
Alan Moore. And let me say, I feel bad because you guys didn't get to talk to him, but he was always sort of with me.
Yeah, he always had to cancel. Like he came on, he talked to him about it, and then he'd have to book out for various reasons and wasn't able to do our Watchmen podcast, which was a real bummer. So I guess my point is I'd love to have Allie, we call him Allie, back on the show to interview him for real. That would be super fun. We gotta just to wrap up here.
And we were like, we'll take your name off the podcast, and he refused. He was like, no, put my name on it. He demanded that we put his name on it.
Oh, we do have a request here to get Brendan Fraser, but spelled Frazier. I don't know who that is.
Brandon Fraser, is that Fraser's cousin?
He's according to this, he is a football player. Brendan Michael Fraser. Oh, he's actually an American pair skater. His skating partner is Alexa Kierenrem. He's the 2021 U.S. national champion and a 2020 Skate America champion. So, yes, we will try to get him on.
We'll try to get.
Yeah, we'll try to get him on.
Nat Townsend says you should get Kelsey Grammer. Of course, it'd be great to have Beast.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Talk about
just to hear him say my stars and garters.
Talk to him about that. Talk to him about Periscope Down.
Oh, wow, dude.
Good.
Wow.
That's a good pull.
Wow. Just to wrap up here, we have a bunch of questions from Luana Nana. When was the last time you cried? Anybody? Earlier today, I was watching a TV show. Do you think you're in touch with your emotions? Yeah.
Let me say this. We went to see the Big Apple Circus on Sunday.
Oh, wow.
In Manhattan. And
did you see Zalben there?
No, he wasn't.
I'm one of the trapeze artists.
Well, usually Marnie loves to go to that stuff.
Yeah, we're at every fucking circus piece. Go ahead, Justin.
I think
so. The show, and it was normal, like hustling to get there. We were late. We didn't have all the stuff we needed. It was like a pain. We get there, we sit down, and the show started, and I started crying. And I was like, "This is a circus." But there was something about people performing live I haven't seen in like so long.
Oh wow!
Every new act that came out, I was like so upset. My wife and kids were all just like, "What is wrong with you, dude?" And I was like, "I don't know. My emotions are welled up here, and I'm feeling it right now."
Wow, man, that's beautiful.
My thing, I was watching an episode of a Star Trek TV show that's coming out later this week, and that made me cry. Just because of the connection and the honoring of the franchise and people being together and working with each other. So there you go. Pete, this is for you. What is your biggest regret?
These are the questions we should get every week. It's like, all right, let's update on our biggest regrets. Any fresh regrets?
I don't know. Opening the show for questions, maybe. Next one is, what is stopping you from achieving your best life?
Wow.
Not enough time, guys. It's always not enough time.
Energy.
Jolene wants to know, we actually got a bunch of them now. What is your first and last fanfic you all read? God, I don't know what the first fanfic I read was. The last fanfic I read was probably, I think I read something for Riverdale that somebody sent me. But I don't know. I don't remember exactly what it was.
I don't read a lot of fan fiction. Yeah. And nor do I write it, but it's not to say that I'm not interested in that. Especially on sort of worlds that aren't being serviced, that we're not seeing any new additions to.
I may have written some fanfic, and maybe apropos of our discussion earlier, maybe I published it on Amazon at one point.
Oh, I think that's the little crumb everyone's been waiting for.
It may not be there anymore. This is from Stray Bullet. Have you ever thought about doing a Doom Patrol podcast? As we've explained many times, we have taped this Doom Patrol podcast.
We taped it.
Yes, we whispered it into our pillows
at night. Stop playing with people's emotions, man. People want us to do this. Let's do it already.
We did it. We whispered it into pillows. Find our pillows, and you will find the podcast.
Our pillows.
I whispered my side of the podcast into a bunch of bottles, corked them, and threw them into the sea.
It's such a great show, you fucks.
I wouldn't know.
This
is from. Oh my gosh, we're getting a lot of these. Why don't we just?
You don't have to do every one of them, man.
Yeah,
you gotta, somebody you gotta walk away.
Oh, we do have one thing from Nelson Martinez there. Says, not a question, but got my comment mount today in the mail. Always appreciate the Patreon rewards you guys sent out. Figured out which comic to mount. If you are a Patreon reward member of $10 or up, what we sent this month was one of those comic mount things that dude had on his wall.
What, dude? I want
that's
those.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
So thank you all who support the podcast at that level. Thank you everybody who supports the podcast at any level, of course. But I thought that was pretty cool. Corey Cachetere wants to know, what are the odds Alex's fanfic was pervy? I didn't think it was pervy.
Interesting that you're saying
I'll tell you what.
You didn't think it was pervy.
I still do have some fanfic out there somewhere.
That's pervy.
The one that is not pervy. The ones that I published on Amazon are not out there anymore. But
yo, Alex, so you are
you're
giving Pete level
a can of worms.
I'm
aware.
Mystery.
This is Pete is going to write his own fanfic about the can of worms that I just opened.
Jolene says, "What's Alex's AO3 handle?" Okay,
I think you can figure that one out. It's not that secret. Oh my gosh, we're getting a bunch more questions here. Nat Townsend wants to know, do you think there is an afterlife?
For real? No.
So, bro.
And which comic book gets it right?
The afterlife, or just gets it everything?
Constantine gets it the closest.
What comic gets the afterlife right?
The only people who ever got the afterlife right were Squirrel Nut Zippers.
Wow. Yeah, you read a lot of fan fiction in the Squirrel Nut Zippers universe. Right?
Yeah, Squirrel Nut Zippers / Earth 2.
To the D to the A to the M to the N to the D to the A to the... I don't know. I can't believe I knew that much of that.
Man, we have a bunch more coming in here as people try to get to the root of our issues. But why don't we take one more here and then wrap this up? This is from Sean R. When will the
Pete, the color is slowly leaving Pete's face, so hurry up.
When will the in-person shows resume? I don't know.
We got
great question.
Things will get back, open up a little bit, and we can get, some live shows.
What are you going to say, Justin?
Let me throw this out. A friend of mine, a friend of the show, Alden Ford, contacted me.
Verizon spokesman, Alden?
Verizon. If you have seen the Verizon commercials that have been airing right now during football games, he booked at VO. Huge job, huge win for old Alden Ford. But he has a venue that has a week of slots. So they're like, hey, if you want to do any shows in April, like late April, what do you guys think about doing? This is the first time I'm bringing this up, by the way, to anyone listening live on this show. Not great business-wise.
Where's the venue?
It's in New York.
That sounds like it's not in New York the way you said.
Yeah, it's
no, I'm saying
it's the East River. It's the East River. You're going to be wearing cement shoes.
He was asking like, this better be near me because I'm not making a trip.
No, it's a trip to New York.
Yeah, let's try to plan a show in April. I think we'll be fairly clear of COVID then. A big show. We'll blow it out. We'll bring everything back.
You heard it here first, folks. COVID is going to be over by April, according to Justin Tyler. That's very exciting news.
Let's hope so.
And last thing, this is from Jolene. I need to know if Pete has watched Arrow 7 times. And unfortunately, that is all the time we have for audience questions. So we are going to move on to our next section, which is trivia. And for that, we're going to turn it over to
that bit. Haven't missed that bit at all. Here's the part where we get back to the lovely audience. It's an opportunity to win $25 free into Midtown Comics Online. Selbs, do we have a special winner today?
We, don't call them a winner. They're going to compete, but we sure do. We have Sean Risley is going to compete in trivia today. So I have in the Riz. So I have brought him into the Riz. So there you go. Yes, he will be competing for a $25 gift card to Midtown Comics. As he says in the comments here, I hope this works. Given that we've had terrible tech issues all night, I think it's going to be just
I think we're in
fine.
good shape.
Absolutely. Pete, do you want to introduce what trivia is on today while we're waiting for Sean to come on in?
Sure. Today's trivia is on topical comic news and a small nod to the legend Bob Saget, R.I.P.
Oh, you went with Bob Saget. Interesting.
Wow.
Not
there's a lot
Louis,
of you got to get to them all. One at a time.
Yeah, I'm sure
People
Louis
Anderson. Right.
Louis Anderson is like, I'll wait my turn.
Yeah, Louis. Unfortunately,
wow.
One of the great
Alex, you've been sitting on this Louis Anderson impression, and you wasted it. It's over.
Yeah, I used to do ADR for baskets.
I could tell.
That's true. Pete,
Louis Anderson was great in baskets, by the way.
He was great at baskets. He was also great in Search Party. Was another thing. Yeah. I don't know if you remember.
I loved his cartoon, the Louis cartoon.
He was just great. Life with Louis, one of the most affecting. He won 2 Emmys for that. Louis Anderson dying was upsetting. Talk about being crying. It was. There are not there. I feel like there are very few people in the biz that are nice like he was nice, and you saw so many stories coming out on Twitter and everywhere of people talking about how he was just nice to everybody and had time for everyone, and that's so rare.
Yeah. They also said Pete, Bob Saget was very nice.
All right, Pete, bringing it back around to his trivia. Hey, I thought this was about honoring people.
Hey!
Hey, great to see you again, man.
Wow.
Hello.
You look like a hacker. You look like a hacker in a movie, just over the keyboard.
Sorry if there's an echo.
No
excellent. Well, I'm going to turn it over to Pete now for some trivia. Pete, take it away.
All right, great. Please listen to all 3 options before making your selection. Here we go. Question number 1. In the upcoming DC event, Shadow War, who will be the king of the villains? Spoilers, obviously. Is it A, Joker, B, Deathstroke, or is it C, CJ Lusby? So it's either... Go ahead.
You nodded to Deathstroke?
That is correct.
Oh yeah,
you were picking up on the nod. Nice work out there. It is B, Deathstroke. Here we go. Question.
I love
2.
how many clues you give. They're physical clues. They're
that's
clues
right.
You have to listen to.
Verbal. Yeah, you got it. Anyway, speaking of villains, new Marvel villain to debut in the new Strange comic. What is the new villain's name? Is it A, Harvest Man, B, Stardust Man, or C, Tracy Morgan? So it's either A, if you would like $25, or you could be completely wrong.
It's A, Harvest Man.
That is correct, sir. All right. Great. And I appreciate you leaning in for that there. All right. Awesome. Last one. What comic is selling out ahead of the movie dropping? Is it A, Morbius, B, Doctor Strange, or is it C, Snoop Dogg? So it's either A, or you could be completely wrong.
I'll go with A. I guess people like
that.
Morbius.
Is correct. Apparently, a lot of Morbius comics are selling out.
Wow.
Wow.
Is that 3
people
questions,
love that
Pete?
guy. The living vampire.
All right. So congratulations. You've won a $25 gift card to Midtown Comics.
Great.
Have you figured out what the secret movie hinted at in Pete's quiz was?
Ooh,
I mean,
Kevin is correct.
This one I would have guessed even before this quiz.
Half-Baked.
Half-Baked? Oh, yeah.
Half-Baked. There we go. Great.
Yeah, Bob Saget was hilarious in that.
He was. Sean, thank you so much for coming on. Good seeing you. Have a good night.
Great seeing you, Sean.
All right. Great, and if any of you would like to participate in trivia, I drop the links here in the chats, both on YouTube and Crowdcast. Also, it goes up on @Comic Book Live. You can check it out there. Submit. There's a pretty good chance you're going to win $25 to Midtown Comics just by
and if you time it right, you're going to get to do trivia based slightly around Meatloaf.
We'll see what happens there. We'll see what happens. Controversial figure, Meatloaf. Now, a lot of comic books are coming out this week. New ones, in fact. Yeah. Pete, what are you looking forward to that's coming out?
I'm looking forward to Deadly Class number 50. And Batman.
Don't eat a lot of them, Pete, because let me have a turn here. Because I got to shout it out for... It's like the 2 Tom King comics that come out this week are maybe the best comics I've read in quite some time. Pete was about to say, and I cut him off. I'm sorry, Pete, but Batman Catwoman special #1, and
that's right,
is just unbelievable.
You want to talk about crying? You want to talk
about crying? There's a great tribute to John Paul Leon, who did a lot of the art for this book, and then tragically died. And they really get into it in the back matter. A lot of great tributes to him. It's so good. Yeah. And then Human Target #4 is just the most romantic comic on the stands right now. It is reading this comic is like being in love. I feel like I have the same endorphin hits. It's really, really good. The art is just beautiful.
I thought you were going to say it was like being on the set of an old 007 movie.
I mean, it's all of that and more. It's just really, it's a big, these two Tom King books are crushing it right now.
If I'm looking forward to X Deaths of Wolverine #1 from Marvel. This is really an interesting, weird event. At least based on X Lives of Wolverine. Very curious to see what's going to happen in X Deaths of Wolverine, which comes out tomorrow. And all of those books are going to be in our Stack podcast that comes out Wednesday at 9 a.m., both at the Comic Book Club feed and in its own dedicated Stack feed. And folks, that is it for this week's show.
Thank you, everybody.
A couple of people we want to thank for being on the show. We want to thank Rhys Prosser for being here. Check out NJXP, which is available through Amazon right now. Also, Chris Dunn, thanks for coming on, as always, talking about the WWE and everything else. Next week on the show,
R-Truth.
Yeah, LaToya Morgan is going to be here. She's the creator and writer of Dark Blood, an awesome new book that is out there that we're also going to be talking about on the Stack podcast.
Yeah,
as mentioned earlier on, we had a great new episode of Riverdale After Dark, talking to Brian E. Patterson, a writer for Riverdale. He went pretty hard about his history with the show, which I thought was really cool and really interesting. So definitely check that one out. Patreon.com.
Alex, while we're talking Riverdale, sorry, Alex, while we're talking Riverdale, I feel like we had a big article drop this week. That maybe.
Oh, sure. There was. Well, it was actually a couple of months back, but there was an article about the cat briefcase that went up on Hollywood Cheat Sheet, which is kind of wild. We'll talk about that some other time. Patreon.com. It's 100% true. Patreon.com/Comic Book Club to support the show. iTunes, Android, Spotify, Stitcher, or the app of your choice to subscribe, listen, and follow. Don't forget to leave us a question in the iTunes review at Comic Book Live on Twitter, Comic Book Club Live on Instagram, comicbookclublive.com for this podcast, and many more. Until next time, we'll see you in the cat briefcase.
Don't go in the cat briefcase. Thanks, everybody. Take care of yourself.
Thanks, everybody.